G'day, welcome back. Day 6 of Hypno Summit. Hey, you're nearly there. You've nearly made it to the end. And I'm sure if you've been checking out many of these presentations that have been on here, your mind is brimming with fantastic new ideas of what you could integrate into your practice to help you become a better therapist. So I'm going to apologize before I even begin, because I'm not going to give you anything new. Nothing new here today. Nothing new at all. Well, it might be new for you, but it is not new. We're going to dial things all the way back. We're going to travel back in time to the mid-1700s. Back to visit a guy called Franz Anton Mesmer. Now, Mesmer is the great-granddaddy of hypnosis. None of you would be here today if it was not for Mesmer. Because Mesmer started hypnosis. Now, he didn't call it hypnosis. He didn't say any fancy words. He didn't do anything that might seem hypnotic today if you watched a standard hypnotherapist work. But what he did was create this trance states of healing and inspire people from then on to work out what was going on. He unlocked a key to consciousness that hadn't been unlocked before. Now, a lot of you might have heard of Mesmer, and it might have been very brief. A lot of different schools of hypnosis and textbooks mention Mesmer very briefly as just a byline to get us to the main point. Some schools and books even refer to him as a quack, a con man, a charlatan, who just accidentally stumbled on the placebo and power of suggestion with his con man antics that he did to make people believe they were getting healing. Now, I hope by the time you finish watching this presentation, you will understand the fallacy in those kind of statements. And you'll be able to explore the power of mesmerism to amplify one of the pieces of hypnosis that you've been missing. Because this is the roots of where it began, and it's part of the ingredient that's going to make everything you do as any kind of therapist way more powerful. So Mesmer, when he went for his doctorate, wrote his thesis on the influence of the sun and the moon and the celestial bodies on the human body. The way that the moon can influence the tides over its cycles. That the tide can rise and fall in relation to the moon. That if that celestial being can have that impact on the bodies of water on this planet, perhaps it has an impact on our bodies and the way we work. And so Mesmer, he actually copied a lot of things off a guy called Richard Mead and Paracelsus and used their work in a somewhat plagiarism way for a lot of his dissertation. But that was the way back then. That was how people did things. There was no such thing as plagiarism back then. It was showing you knew your stuff to blatantly copy people like that. So he wasn't fully original with the approach. And he had studied with a Jesuit priest who showed him how to heal with magnets. And so he was doing healing with magnets and using magnets to maneuver the etheric fluid within people's body to create a healing. And this paper was about this fluid that the sun and moon have an effect on our bodies with. But he didn't just leave it at magnets. He experimented more, and he came up with this understanding that with this magnetic fluid that runs through our bodies, he could project that with his hands and his eyes, and he could use just his natural ability as a human to manipulate the energy in others. And he would run his hands down over people in passes over their body, and it would create this sensation that would put them into a trance state where they would just be out. Quite often with this, when they would go out, they would go into a state of catharsis where they would shake and tremor and flick out all sorts of neurotic conditions within their nervous system. Now, if you caught my previous talk on parts therapy and idiomotor response, some of that might actually sound a little familiar. That this emotion can sit in our nervous system and we can use that to communicate with it. But he was not using it for communication. He was using that as a sign to see the stuff was going. And quite often people would wake up after these states. They might need multiple times of going in the state to notice the effect, but eventually they would come out of that state and be healed and have these great things change within them of physical or neurotic conditions just disappear. And he had big vats that he used, bequettes he called them. Now these bequettes were filled with liquid and metal shavings and glass bottles, and they could be like a battery and be charged up with this magnetic healing that people could hold an iron rod that comes out of these vats and receive the same healing. And now partly because of this and the impact he had in society, he made some friends that he shouldn't have made. Well, he didn't make friends. He made enemies that he shouldn't have made. And some people wanted to shut him down because he's talking about this etheric fluid that nobody can see that comes out of his hands that heals people. Well, often throughout history, people have not liked to hear that people can heal with their hands. So some people get a bad name because of that. Mesmer was one of those. Most of his clientele were female, so he was getting a bad name as well. And the jealousy context was something that he was spending time with these women, and sometimes with this state that people would go in. Well, it wasn't just shaking. I know myself from experiences myself. It's not always just a shake. Sometimes this energy can create a sexual sort of sensation. It can create an orgasmic state. A guy who worked with this energy later on, Wilhelm Reich, called it orgone energy because of orgasmic energy. So people were having these shaking fits that they were healing during, but some of them, those shaking fits would come with moaning and groaning of joy as they went through that process. So a little bit of red flags were popping up about Mesmer, of that he was doing something to these people while this was happening, but he wasn't touching them. He was doing passes off their body. Quite often he was just a look that could set it off. He had mirrors all around his house that amplifies the way this fluid can bounce around as well. So quite often he wasn't anywhere near them and projecting energy to them to connect with this. But he just had some friends that did not like what he did and wanted to shut him down. Now they tried. There was a royal commission to see whether or not what he was doing was real or imagined. And they did these studies, and they didn't actually even get Mesmer to participate in them. They got one of his students to do the trials and tribulations of this. And still they found that it worked. It's all good. So away he goes. That wasn't good enough. Another royal commission. Let's make sure we shut this guy down. And they couldn't disprove him again. Still going. When he really must have peeved some people off. Mind you, this is the time of the French Revolution as well. So he seemed to like revolutionary actions. He was notably saying of the Haiti revolutions that were going on at the same time that he thought that was great. And he was extremely proud that Mesmerism was actually part of the reason why the Haiti revolutions were going on. Because the Haitian slaves had learned Mesmerism and were using it. And were told they weren't allowed to use it. They weren't allowed to make money healing. They weren't allowed to gather together to do healings. And they tried to shut them down. And that was one of the key reasons why the Haitians revolted, to create their own freedom. When Mesmer heard of this, he liked it. He said it was great. So because he's saying these sort of things, and there's a French Revolution going, he probably targeted some people that had targets on them for the guillotine that didn't want to be part of it. So he was really wanted to be shunned out of town. So then there was a third commission. A third royal commission put on him. And this time, Benjamin Franklin was in town. You might have heard of him from American history. Now, Franklin was in France looking for troops, looking for military support for his actions back in America. And he got that as long as he participated in this royal commission. And he did. And it was found that this was just all off imagination because nobody could see this fluid. Now, I'm talking to a bunch of hypnotists right now. You all know the power of imagination. So even that on its own is still fantastic. He was still healing. He was still doing everything he said he was doing. Just they couldn't prove this fluid because you couldn't see it. You couldn't draw it or paint it because you couldn't see it. Some people could feel it, but not everybody could feel it. Occasionally, some people can actually see this fluid, but the average person can't. And I'm guessing most people around there could not see it. So they thought he was up to some sort of game. So away he goes. Shunned, out of frets, and he goes back home to Meersburg and just does his thing and lives his life. Writes to different healers around the world and just lives his life. Now, Poiseuille is a key figure in the history of hypnosis. He's the one who really cracked it open into being a psychotherapy tool. He's the one who opened the doorway of communication with consciousness. Now, Mesmer had seen it, and you'll find that in the resource library. I'll have a translation I've made of Wirtz's work where he talks about the first time that Mesmer had got direct voice from consciousness in one of these magnetic states. But he ignored it. He didn't think it was real. He thought it was crazy talk. Now, Poiseuille, he explored it more. He was intrigued by this process where consciousness could talk through this other person. One of the primary things he's known for of this communication is a young peasant boy that worked on the family's plantations, Victor Race. Now, Victor Race, when he was in this magnetic trance, would communicate to Poiseuille. And would communicate very differently than Victor would himself in his waking state. Now, in his waking state, Victor was just a humble little peasant boy. He wasn't well educated. He didn't speak fantastically. He had a bit of a stutter. He was poorly educated and was clear. But this other consciousness inside of him had an educated and eloquent way of speaking. It showed an intelligence that Victor Race didn't have. It knew all about Victor's life, but it also knew all about background things of what were going on inside Victor. So Poiseuille would communicate with this other element that was inside of Victor Race to work out what he needed for healing, what was going on. He explored these territories and understood this. So the true name that he used for this was somnambulism. Now, somnambulism translates from the French term for sleepwalker. These were called sleepwalkers because they were in this state of magnetic sleep, but they could walk, they could talk, they could interact, they could communicate clearly. It was a little bit like somebody who's talking in their sleep, but it was real, it was coherent, it was two-way conversation, it was understood, but it wasn't their normal self. It was something other, it was different, it was weird, it was like some other part inside, which again, review my parts therapy talk from day 3 and you might understand a little bit more about that. And now most people today use this term somnambulism just to mean a subject they can get to do anything. and they're not in an actual true somnambulistic state because they haven't used animal magnetism or mesmerism to get there. So it's not quite the same, but it is quite similar. The early writers of hypnosis did make a clear distinction of this and called it artificial somnambulism when they were using direct suggestion to get there. So technically, everybody else used the word somnambulism, unless you've been talking about an energetic state, have been actually using artificial somnambulism. If you play with this, you too can get real somnambulism as well as the artificial somnambulism you already know how to get and use. So again, there's skills to needing this. There's ways that this can amplify every little thing you do in hypnosis. Now, Poisson explored this with many different subjects and got many great results and influenced many great people. His approach with somnambulism really took off because people loved to hear more. And they loved to explore more. This was not just a healing process now, this was a new understanding of consciousness which had the attention of many. Akita Poisson ran a class for a local Masonic society in 1785. And this is how he summed up what was going on. I believe in the existence of a power. From this belief derives my will to exert it. The entire doctrine of animal magnetism is contained in two words, believe and want. I believe that I have the power to set into action the vital principle of my fellow men. I want to make use of it. This is all my science and all my means. Believe and want, sirs, and you will do as much as I. Now, Poisson's work spread far and wide. Everybody loved the somnambulism movement because now it was no longer just this healing art. It no longer just had these strange sensations and these interesting things that could happen. Now you had the potential to have some strange conversation with some other element of consciousness. This was interesting. This was new. This was amazing information to find out. People were intrigued. Now, not only was it just that, though. This other element of consciousness quite often brought with it this psychic power, an understanding, a way to just look at somebody and be able to say exactly what was wrong with them. To look at somebody and be able to diagnose exactly what would help them, create a cure for their ails and their problems that they were going through. Suddenly, somnambulists were high in interest within society, and the somnambulism movement spread even further than the animal magnetism movement did. And that opened up more pathways towards where we are today as hypnotists. But Poisson was so much a key figure because he was first to open this doorway of communication with consciousness, opening this pathway to communicate two ways with some other element of consciousness and understanding the dynamic principles of psychology. The mesmerism spread far and wide, and it got adapted by all different sorts of people who tried different things. And the power of suggestion started to come added into this when people were in these trance states, especially when you had a somnambule who's communicating with you. You could understand the power of suggestion. You could suggest something and it would happen. People started to play with post-hypnotic suggestions and building these suggestions that happen later after the trance states. Now, from these, this power of suggestion really grew to become what we have here today of hypnotism. And there was all the stuff of the gaze with mesmerism that got adapted, people realizing fixed vision can create the same sort of states as well, and artificial somnambulism could be created through this fixed gaze. So you're getting, again, a different pathway into the ways of this trance that's there. There's ways you can get into that without fixed vision, and just by initiating ideomotor responses and building on those till you bring a part forward enough that it can happen. There's all different ways now that we use to create these similar states. And from that, there's all different views about what's the real way, what's the right way, whether or not the hypnotist does it or it's self-hypnosis, or whether there's a subconscious or parts of consciousness or something else, and whether or not trance is even real or hypnosis is real, whether there's some part of your brain that makes it happen, all different sorts of things that hypnotists will argue and debate time after time, all the way till the end of time. And this is all because there's been so many different pathways out of mesmerism, of different people exploring things and adding to it. The disappointment I have is where everybody that added to it quite often left something behind and just exchanged what they did. I'd like you to start adding back in all these different things and exploring it, seeing what has been subtracted over the years and seeing if you can add that in, if it's more value to you. Just at least experiment with this and see what comes up for you. So how is this important for you today as a therapist? Well, there's multiple ways that this can help. For starters, you can add this energetic healing layer through to your clients of a physical healing within their body. You can take this core principle of Poisigas, of believe and want, and be able to hold a belief that you can make a change for your client, to really want that change for that client, to be able to project that belief and that desire for that change into your client's consciousness and have them really feel it and understand it, and then them believe it because they've felt that change from you. That's going to make your therapy so much more powerful. You've got the ability to use energy to take your clients into a deeper state. You've got the option to use this as a different gateway of a way into that trance state to mix up what you do. And you've certainly got the ability to create self-healing for yourself, or just vibrancy within your life and confidence in you and what you can do. Now, I personally created a healing of something nothing else could happen within my life to stop. I had a migraine for 9.5 years, and it was doing a mesmeric practice on myself that cured that, like that, instantly. Something that bothered me, a migraine 24/7, pounding, day in, day out, 9.5 years, not a second's reprieve. Every medical treatment I could find, I tried, and nothing helped. Yet, one night of doing mesmeric practices myself, and I've got a cure. That wasn't placebo. That was an amazing healing. And it happened because of mesmerism. So I would love to help you learn how to integrate this in your life and your practice. So now I don't want to just tell you about it. I don't want to just tell you how it's important or where it's come from. I want to give you an experience. I want to give you an understanding. I want to open up this power within you to be able to do this. So I've talked about this energy, this magnetic feeling so far. Now I want you to feel this magnetic feeling. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a taster of what this is going to be like. So I want you all to put your hands in front of you like this. And I want you to look in between those hands. And we're going to do a trick right now. I'm going to be very clear. This is going to be a blatant trick, and it's going to be the only trick that I do here today. I want you to put your hands like this and clap them together nice and loud. And rub them together like this. Like you're starting a fire. Yeah, really feel it. Now, warning, if you see somebody do this before a healing, clap your hands together and rub them like this. It's a red flag. Warning, they're doing a trick. They're up to something. Now with this, they might say they're opening up their palm chakras by doing this. Rubbish, that's the hardest way to open your palm chakras. It just rubs them, that's all it's doing. what they're really doing is building up a friction in their hands and a pain and a static in there. But if you pull them apart after that now, not fully, just a little bit, and you move it in and out a little bit, you should be able to feel that magnetic change happen, that static electricity there. And this is feelings of like what this will feel like. So you should have some pins and needles there from that big slap. You should have some magnetic feelings there from that static. Maybe move it around in a circle. You might even feel it a little bit more. You might get a tacky sort of sensation when you pull it apart sometimes, maybe. Your hands will probably feel warmth from that rubbing. Now, these are some of the sensations that you could feel with energy. Just allow your hands to relax again, and later on we're going to get into feeling those sort of sensations within your hands without slapping them together, without rubbing them together. You'll be able to create that sensation just at will. My understanding that this energy can flow through you and will flow through you. Now, I'd like to awaken this energy within you so that you can actually feel this. So you can have an experience here today and feel what it's like. And with this, open up that ability that you can do this again for yourself at any time, that you can play with this energy for your own healing or integrate it for your clients. So with this, your job is really easy. All you got to do is close your eyes and do nothing. Just relax. Listen to my voice. Simply the sound of my voice, and see where this takes you, of what you can feel within your body. So just close your eyes and take a nice deep breath in, and feel how your body feels as you breathe in, and a nice slow deep breath out. That's right. And as you do, I'd like you to breathe in and out a little deeper with each breath as you can, to take a little bit longer on each exhale, a little bit longer on each inhale, to allow yourself to start to feel your stomach rise and fall with each breath, to know you're breathing all the way down into your stomach. Doing this is going to amplify it a little bit more, but you're probably going to notice you might drift in and out and not focus on that breath that whole time, and that's perfectly okay. Just feel how it feels, breathing in and breathing out. Feel how that feels within your body. And then intend to connect to this mesmeric energy, this animal magnetism that lies within you and radiates from the universe around into you. I'd like you to imagine a bright big beam of light coming down from above onto the crown of your head, soaking into your scalp. This light, love and energy of the universe coming down into you, like it's a beam from the sun or a ray from the moon, whatever's right for you. Perhaps it's just all the stars and celestial bodies beaming their energy down onto you for healing. Feel that power of the universe starting to soak into your scalp, opening up the crown of your head to absorb all of this energy like it's filling you, like you're a tank, to fill you all the way to the brim with this energy. And allow it to soak into that mind, down into those ears, so they can just focus on my voice, and open up this inner creativity within you, this inner intelligence that can connect just naturally to this magnetic energy, to open up this ability for you to become the best healer you can. Just breathe that in and notice how it feels flowing throughout your body. Allow it to flood down into your neck and your shoulders. Allow this energy to start to awaken your body so it feels fresh and new as it flows down those arms, through your elbow, your wrists, and forearms, all the way down to those hands and each of those fingers. And you might start to notice some strange sensations. Perhaps that tingle or buzz. Maybe there's a pulsating feeling, or a warmth, or a tickle. Maybe there's a magnetic sensation happening. You might be one of the lucky few that is starting to notice your nervous system awakening, and you might have a little twitch or quiver here or there. It's okay, it's just a good sign. You're going to be an amazing healer. Your consciousness wants to help. Allow yourself to go with that. If you're destined to be an amazing, absolute, spectacular healer, one of those very rare few, you might notice something even weirder, like a hand starting to rise up into the air. And that's okay if that happens, just go with it. Don't stress about it. You'll notice how good that feels if that's the case. If a hand or arm or something else starts to rise, just let it go. But if that's not happening for you, that's perfectly normal. Like I said, that's just for the rare few. Just wanted to give a warning as we go to comfort those people to know that that's okay. The average person's just going to feel a tingle, buzz, or a warmth in those hands as they breathe this energy in. I'd like you to focus and intend on breathing that energy in. As you take a nice big deep breath in and breathe it all the way into the core of your torso, right into where your rib cage meets. And to feel it, fill that battery of who you are. This is the main powerhouse of where you store your energy. Breathe that all the way in. And you might be blessed to be living on land that respects you, and it might want to give you energy as well. So you might start to feel this energy tapping beneath your feet, just under the sole, pushing through the balls of your feet and starting to rush up your legs, through your hips, all the way up to the core of your torso as well. And feel those energies mix and mingle and work together. And allow yourself to open up to become a healer. Allow yourself to open up to these healing magnetic energies of the earth we live on and the celestial bodies around us to flow through you. Perhaps you can even allow it to do some healing on you while you go, to take away some pain or ache within your body, to take away some emotional or psychological stress or anxiety you have going on within your mind, or anything to do with any level of your consciousness or your soul that needs to be healed or released. Allow this energy to start to flow in and do its job and unlock that power within you. And as it heals you, it's going to heal everybody else even more. As you open up to this gift to become a healer. You're going to be able to use this on your clients and yourself. In a moment, I want you to bring your hands up close together but not quite touching, just in front of you. And start to move your right hand in a clockwise motion. Just make a little circles, just your palms over each other, not quite touching, and so the right palm's not moving so much that it's crossing out of the direction of the palm of the left. Just start to feel that difference of energy as you do that. As you're moving each, you might start to notice it in each if you're moving both in opposite directions. You might notice that tingle, that buzz getting stronger and stronger. You might notice that magnetic feeling growing between those hands. And on your breath out, I'd like you to imagine pushing energy out of those hands. Your breath in, breathing more energy into you. And as you do, you might start to feel those hands push apart. If you don't, then with your breath out, I'd like you to pull your hand out just a little bit. And your breath in, push it in a little bit. With each breath, you'll start to awaken that more and more. And soon that feeling between your hands will grow so much that you start to feel like a bowl shape between those hands, like a ball of air moving around within it. And this practice is called an energy ball. It's quite simple. It's quite easy. And with this, you can use this to heal yourself just by charging up this ball with an intention to heal whatever it is that you want to heal within yourself. Or you could open up this ability to heal somebody else. And you can use this in your therapy room when you've got somebody across from you. You can just hold your hands in your lap, not quite touching, and intend for that energy between your hands to go to heal them on whatever issue they're working on. If you're working over Zoom, then this is just as easy again, if not easier, because they don't even see your hands and know what's going on if you have them below your desk or out of view with that webcam. And as you gaze at your client, you can hold this ball of energy for them. And you can use it in multiple ways. You can use it just with the intention that they're going to go deeper when you do the hypnosis, and allow this energy to take them deeper all on its own. Or you can hold the intention to heal whatever reason they've come to you. Again, whether it's physical or psychological or spiritual, you'll be able to allow this energy to go to them and heal whatever that issue is as you talk and do your therapy with them. The more you do this, the stronger you're going to get with this. The whole key about it is just to believe and want that you can do it and that you will do it. That you can make an influence on somebody else's life, and you will. And you will do that ethically, so I hope. Now, this energy exercise can get even stronger when we start to integrate this and mix it with energy breathing. So the next exercise that I'd like you to explore of what you can do with this energy is a thing called energy breathing. Now, if your eyes are closed, you can still keep them closed if you like. If they're open, then you can explore this even deeper. But those with your eyes closed, you need to at least be able to understand the basic concepts of a chakra system to progress with this, or you might need to open your eyes to watch and see what happens. And you can close your eyes again if you prefer during the practice of this. Whatever's right for you, you're in your own space. You do what's right for you here today. So we have 7 primary chakras within our bodies. The first is at our perineum, called our root chakra, just between our legs. The second is our sacral, which is just below our belly button, about 3 finger widths below the belly button is about where it sits for the average person. The next is the solar plexus, which is where our rib cage meets, the center of our torso. The next up is the heart chakra, which is in line with your heart but in the center of your chest. From there, you've got your throat chakra, which is coincidentally at your throat. From there, your third eye, which is just in the center of your brow. And then your crown at the very, very top of your head. Now for this, we're going to breathe energy in and out of different parts of your body. Now I'm going to talk about breathing energy in and out of these areas, and with that I understand you don't have a way you can actually breathe in and out of the center of your stomach. You don't have a mouth there or anything like that. Some smart alecks at home are probably going to say they can breathe out of their root chakra, but let's keep it PG. Thanks, guys. We're all about moving this energy with our breath. So on your breath in, imagine pulling energy in through where I say to pull it in. And on your breath out, breathe it out throughout where I say and breathe it out. So let's go with a basic example of breathing in through your crown chakra and out through your solar plexus. So breathing the energy in and down to the solar plexus on your breath in, and out through your solar plexus to the room around you. In and out. Now, through this process, sometimes you can get a little lightheaded, so I would recommend, if you're not already seated or laying down, to please do so, and to give yourself some space and time before you get up and go around and move. Don't just jump right up when you're going to jump up. Take your time. Make sure you're safe and secure with this. So for those who are visual imaginators, now would be the time to close your eyes again so that you can see internally the way that this energy flows through your body. For those who are not, I will guide you with the way I move my hand through these chakras that you can watch at home. Now, you don't need to move your hands with this. I did find when I first started doing this practice, it did help me to move my hand at the same time, because I am not a visual imaginator and I couldn't see the energy coming. I could feel it, but I could feel it that little bit stronger when I directed and choreographed it with my hand at the same time and projected that energy from my hands at the same time. So we're going to breathe through different chakras with this, and the order and way I do this is not necessary. You can do it any way you like. I'm just guiding you through a process. At a minimum, the best way you could do it is breathe in through your crown and out either your hands, your eyes, your heart, or your solar plexus. Though those are going to be the main ways you could utilize this in your clinical setting. But if you can breathe in and out of each and every one of these chakras, you're going to be more and more powerful with what you can do in whatever situation you want to do it in. So, I'd like you to all take a deep breath in and breathe energy in through the top of your crown to your heart for the first time. And out from that heart to the room. And in from the room to your heart now. And then down through your root chakra and out. And back up through that root chakra to your heart. And back out to the room from the heart. And back into the heart. And now out through the top of your head. And this time we're going to go to the solar plexus. In through the crown to the solar plexus. And out to the ground. Into the solar plexus. And then out through that root chakra down into the earth. Then back up through the earth and the root chakra to your solar plexus. And out to the room through that solar plexus. Again, back into that solar plexus. And all the way up and out through your crown. Back in through that crown, this time all the way down to the sacral, just below your belly button. And then back out to the room. Back in through that sacral chakra. And down and out through the root. Back in through that root to the sacral again. And out to the room from the sacral again. Back into that sacral. And up and out of the crown. And this time we're going to go to our throat. And down through the crown chakra again. To our throat. And out to the room. Back into our throat from the room. And down through that root chakra and out. Then back up the root chakra to the throat. And back out to the room. In from the room to the throat. And out the crown. And this time to our third eye. Breathing in through the crown. And out through the third eye. In through the third eye. and down and out through the root chakra. Back up through that root chakra to your third eye. And back out to the room. Again, back in to that third eye. And up and out through that crown. And now let's just breathe it in through that crown to our solar plexus. And out to that room. In through this crown to the solar plexus. And out to that room. With your own breath in your own time, just do this for a few cycles. In through the crown, out through the solar plexus. As you're doing this, you might feel a different pulsation of energy flowing through your body. If something's twitching or quivering, that's alright, just let it go. It's a way of releasing. And now again, hold your hands in front of you. And this time breathe in through the crown and allow it to go out through each arm and down into each of those palms and out with your breath out. And feel that energy ball grow. In through the crown each time. Out through your hands. And you might start to notice your hands actually just get pushed out. Like they're getting repelled as magnets from each other. With each breath you take. It might not be much, or it might be a lot. It's okay either way. It's a great practice to do. Just breathe that energy in through your crown. And out through those hands. And feel that energy there. Feel that you're way more in control of it now than you used to be. There's different ways you can use this breathing to make the most out of it. But a simple way that you can use this in your therapy room is to sit across from somebody. Breathe that energy in and project your will and desire for their healing out. Whether you're breathing it out through your solar plexus, whether you're breathing it out through your heart, whether you're breathing it out through your mouth with your words, or out through your eyes with what you're projecting to that client, each will be powerful. Even if you're just projecting it out of your hand, and you've got your hand subtly on the side of your chair, pointing at them to project that out. Whatever works for you, I want you to experiment with and see how that feels for your practice. I want you to experiment with this each and every night when you lay in bed. To just focus on your breathing for a little while and breathe this energy in and around and through your body. Watch how every time you do it, you get a little bit better. For some of you, you might find it's even more amplified if you imagine a certain color. Blue is a great color for hypnotists to breathe in and out to amplify their ability at their craft, if that's what you're into. So the very last exercise I'd like to give you here today involves a mirror. That's why there's a weird thing in front of me and you. It's a mirror. This side's reflective. You can't see that from there, but I assure you, this is a mirror and I can see myself in it. And you're going to get very, very comfortable with looking at yourself in the mirror if you do this exercise. So a huge part of mesmerism includes fascination, and that's gazing with your eyes. Now, you've probably noticed as you watch this presentation, I don't blink often because I do this practice. And this practice opens up your ability to maintain a gaze with somebody, to project an intention with this. Now, before I begin, I want to give one clear instruction. If you don't hold a good ethical practice, if you do not work as a hypnotist because you have an intention to heal and help other people, then I'd advise you not to play with this exercise. This exercise opens up a transparency within you. This really helps you project your belief, your understanding, what you think and feel. Others will start to notice if you do this practice. So if you're not ethical and you're a little bit dodgy, I'd proceed with caution with doing this, because other people are going to start to notice a strange feeling when they're around you and not trust you. But on the plus side, if you're an actual healer and you have the intention to help and assist people to become their best selves and to overcome their hardships, then this is going to make you way, way more powerful at what you do. Because people are going to start to really feel that love and intention that you have for them, that you want them to be their best self. They'll feel that projected through your gaze. So I want you to do this practice. This is quite simple, and it's going to feel very weird to begin with, and it's also going to be difficult. But if you do this every day for 3 months, I guarantee you will notice huge differences. And I want you to do this. So it's quite simple. Just 10 minutes a day, I want you to get a mirror and gaze at it. To have it really reasonably close in front of you, generally about a foot's distance is good. Maybe a little bit closer, a little bit further away if you need, but that's about good. And I want you to look into your own eyes. Simple as that. Look into your own eyes for 10 minutes a day. And maintain your gaze. Not look away at anything else, just look into your eyes. I'm just going to train you to look into other people's eyes more often. And the challenge with this is I want you to blink as rare as you can. Now, to begin with, you're going to realize you blink a hell of a lot in a 10-minute space. And to do this, I don't want you checking the clock every few seconds to see how long you've lasted. I don't want every time you blink for you to look at your clock and see how long you lasted. Set a timer that goes for 10 minutes and just do this and wait till the alarm goes off. And if you blink, you blink. It's going to be okay. The longer you do this, the rarer it's going to be that you do blink. Now with this, as you gaze into your own eyes, you might notice some weird things, because you're going to have your eyes adapting. Your rods and cones, you're going to just warp and get used to this. You're going to build a peripheral vision that's a bit bigger, which is great if you work with ideomotor response later on as well. And just in general life, a broader peripheral vision is going to be helpful for you. But sometimes things might look even weirder still. Your face might change and might adapt, and that's okay. Sometimes while you're doing this, you're going to get into a light trance state. For some people, you might get into a deep trance state with your eyes open, and you might start to get some hallucinations. Just know it's just a normal part of trance if that happens. But more often than not, it's just going to be general little things like the rods and cones of your eyes adapting. Like just some color around you, or your face wobble or change. And if you get really good at this, you can look just a little bit behind the mirror, like you're looking through. And you'll have your face stay the same, but you'll have 4 eyes all touching one another. And it's kind of like that magic eye thing. You're just looking just through you. And with that, you're going to build the ability to project right into the middle of somebody's brain, rather than just at their eyes. Like you can look through them and project your thought, your belief for their healing in. And that's going to amplify things that little bit more. And as I said, you're going to have this gaze and you're going to try and not blink. Now, a thing that helps with this is when you get that feeling, when you get that burn in those eyes and you know you need to blink, then make a real effort to blink. Don't just blink, but blink. And hold your eyes closed and make sure they're nice and watered. You can even roll them around in your head if you need. And then open your eyes and gaze again for as long as you can. Now with this, when I started doing this, I really wanted to make it to the 10-minute mark as soon as I could without blinking. So I cheated. I'd look and I'd wink one eye and then I'd wink the other eye. My eyes got watered. I didn't have to blink. I cheated. I was tricky. But it helped. It helped train my mind. I'm not going to blink. Now, as you do this, you might notice some extra things that happen. You can open up pathways of communication with yourself, so you can hold your hands on your lap and set up an ideomotor response. To learn how to do that, go back to the Path Therapy talk, and I'll teach that there, and you can just communicate with a part of yourself as you gaze in the mirror. Otherwise, you can hold your hands in that energy ball I just shared and project energy to yourself as you gaze into your eyes. If you like, you can do this in complete silence. Or if you like, you can have a mantra that you say to yourself, some sort of positive affirmation that you want to make sure your consciousness really understands and feels. As simple as that. Great exercise. Do this every day for 3 months. You'll notice you won't blink very often. You'll notice you'll maintain eye contact way more. You'll notice that from those two things, people are going to see you as more confident. You'll notice that you'll actually be more confident. And you'll notice that your communication gets so much clearer, that people seem to feel what you're talking about. People will notice your presence just because you're looking at them without looking away. They will know that you really care. This is going to work on so many levels to make your therapy better. Gaze in the mirror at yourself every day. 10 minutes. Do it in the morning, do it afternoon, at night, whatever's right for you, where you just won't be interrupted. 10 minutes in the mirror. Simple as that. I hope you enjoy this practice, and I hope you use it. Well, you made it. We've reached the end of this. That's all I have time to share with you here today. I hope you enjoyed learning about mesmerism. I hope you really enjoyed learning these practices, and that you will do these practices. If you play with this stuff for just 3 months, every day, I guarantee you, you will see and feel the impact that this has on your therapy. Just this impact this has on yourself, of who you are as a person, of your confidence, of your joy in life, of your vitality. Please, do the practices and really get the value out of what I've shared here today. And if you don't, that's okay. Maybe one day you'll pick it back up. Maybe it's just not for you. Maybe you're just watching out of curiosity. But if that curiosity is enough to pique your interest in what's next, have a play with those practices. See how valuable they are. So thanks for joining me. I'm Lance Baker. You can find me on social media. You can find me at branchesofhealing.com.au. If you need to email me, lance@branchesofhealing.com.au. Always happy to hear from people who have any questions or need some support, or if you want to learn something deeper or do some therapy yourself. Thank you. I'll see you again at next Hypno Summit or somewhere in between. Thank you.